Welcome to Insights into Insurance with Tom Sorensen of Americana Insurance Group. All information provided is educational in nature and not intended to be acted upon without first consulting the appropriately licensed professional.
It's Saturday morning here on KATE. Time for another episode of Insights into Insurance with Americana Insurance's Tom Sorensen. And Tom, good Saturday morning.
Good Saturday morning to you, Paul.
Now, Tom, we got to appreciate all the listeners with their listener emails. And if it's all right with you, we'll just jump right in.
Let's jump.
All right, it's from Richard. He says, hello, Insights into Insurance. I'm a weekly listener of your show. I really enjoy hearing about all the different topics of insurance that you do. My question is that I have a policy with Farmers Mutual of Manchester, and on my policy, it reads two companies. One is Farmers Mutual Insurance Company. The other is North Star Mutual Insurance Company. Why are there two companies listed? I thought I only have insurance with Farmers Mutual. That's from Richard. And actually, with Richard, I have North Star Mutual Insurance for some of mine, and sometimes I do see two different names on that too. Just kind of depends, huh? Is that what happens?
Well, yeah, and actually this is a super question, Richard, and actually we're going to get to answer your question and Richard's question about that. But first of all, I'm going to tell the listeners who is Farmers Mutual Insurance Company, because they might not even realize the insurance company is based out of Manchester, Minnesota. Yep, we have an insurance company in Manchester, Minnesota, right up Highway 13 from Albert Lea. What is it, probably
3 miles?
3 miles maybe? Okay. A lot of people don't even know that. It's that little building up there that you see. Well, that little building up there insures currently $955 million worth of property coverage. So that little building can
a lot of space.
You're right, exactly. With this email, it gave me an idea of, I know I'm going to call him the unofficial historian of Farmers Mutual Insurance Company, and I'm going to introduce Dwayne Troe as our special guest today. Dwayne, I'm going to let him explain who he is and why he would be here to talk about Farmers Mutual Insurance Company, and why is he the unofficial historian of Farmers Mutual Insurance. I made his title that, so just so you know. So, but anyway, so hello, good morning, Dwayne.
Morning, Tom. Glad to be with you.
Yeah, I'm glad to be with you. So why don't you tell me, I know you, but why don't you tell our listeners about you, Dwayne, and what's your background and what's your history with Farmers Mutual?
I started with Farmers Mutual back in 1962, and I was with them 33 years and retired in 1995. And during that time, of course, there was a lot of changes.
Yeah, I would guess.
And basically, a little bit about Farmers Mutual of Manchester. They were founded back in 1876.
Okay.
By
a few years ago.
Yeah. By a group of Norwegian farmers.
Norwegian farmers,
yeah, I say Norwegian because they were the first, I think until about 1900, policies were Norwegian.
Yes.
And all the corporate minutes were Norwegian.
Matter of fact, I have in my office an actual policy from, it was sometime in the 1800s, I can't remember the exact date, that's in all Norwegian. I got it all framed up and everything, so it's pretty neat.
That's got to be tough to read.
Yeah, well, I can't read it. My grandpa and grandma, if they were still alive, could maybe read it, but I can't. So, just a neat item. So,
it is.
Yeah. We hired Gunlick Wasmon to translate all the corporate minutes into English, so we could read that. So.
Oh wow,
that interesting.
Okay, so Dwayne, what did you do for Farmers Mutual?
Well, I managed the company, and I also was an agent. Started out for Manchester Township, an agent.
In 1962, you started as an agent for them? Mm-hmm. Okay. When Farmers Mutual started, it was by Norwegian farmers. Do you know any of the names or history of that at all? Like who was the first president or anything like that?
Well, we've got some of the stuff in the history book.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know the client one? That's what I was just wondering. I think Dwayne gave me this amazing book that was part of their 100-year anniversary, and I believe that the company founders, the names were Ole Peterson Sleddy,
Okay.
Ivor A. Rodsetter.
Rodsetter?
Rodsetter. There we go. Yeah. And Ole Narveson and Hans Stenrud, names like that. Kind of like, I think they're probably Norwegian names.
Some still familiar.
Yeah, some familiar. But so with that history, now back to Richard's question. Why are there two companies listed? I call it the deck page, as being in the industry, a lot of people are going to say the policy. The policy is what actually is the contract paperwork. That's the policy. The declarations page is what shows what their coverages are. So, but why is there two?
Well, Farmers Mutual is what they call a township mutual company. By state law, we can only write fire and additional lines.
Okay.
We're not permitted to write windstorm or liability. When we first, shortly after I started there, we went into writing a package policy. But at that time, the windstorm would issue the wind policy and the liability policy, and we'd put it together with our policy, and clip all three policies together, and we did the billings.
Oh, so it actually at one time it was two different companies, but it actually was two different policies. It wasn't actually one policy all in one.
Right, it's just clipped together, we did all the billings, and that's one.
So Farmers Mutual was actually just a fire insurance company up till a certain period of time, correct?
And we still are just a fire insurance company, but we do package with both North Star and RAM. There's two companies in Minnesota that we package with. Right,
North Star Mutual in Cottonwood, Minnesota, and RAM Mutual in Esco, Minnesota.
And then they issue the policies right out of Manchester there, so we don't have to wait till you get the policy back with mail.
Okay, sounds great. So let's go back some years. How early were there agents part of Farmers Mutual?
Well, we always had an agent, but we had an agent for each township. Each township had their own agent.
Okay, so each township had their own agent. Yeah. Okay, now could he sell out of that township?
Well,
outside of that
we could, but we sort of held our boundary lines pretty much.
Okay.
So when I started there, there's 20 townships in Freeborn County, so we had 20 agents. And that sort of has disappeared now, and all you can pretty much write wherever you want to write.
Yeah, and just so people know, and Americana Insurance is actually, my agency is the top producing agency for Farmers Mutual. There's many agents and agencies for Farmers Mutual, and they are all good agents and agencies that are with them. But just to kind of let you know that's what we are, Paul, is we are the top producing agency for Farmers Mutual. So out of that $955 million that they produce, Americana is a big part of that.
You're the 900?
Well, I don't know about the 900, but we got fair shares. Well, I tell you what, let's take a break, and we'll come back in 30 seconds and talk a little bit more about some history of Farmers Mutual Insurance Company of Manchester and some other things that we can talk about.
Sounds good. You're listening to Insights into Insurance with Americana Insurance's Tom Sorensen.
A while back at Americana Insurance, we had a question. Should we dress in coats and ties or just dress normal? People in ties are usually smart, professional, and with it. On the other hand, they can be a little intimidating. Eventually, we decided we'd just dress regular and let our service, dedication, and experience speak for itself. Americana Insurance. Business, farm, home, life, and auto. Give us a call at 377-2000 or just stop by. Americana Insurance. Smart enough to wear a suit, down to earth enough not to.
Welcome on back to Insights into Insurance with Americana Insurance's Tom Sorensen. Tom, you have brought a good friend with you today, Dwayne Troe.
Yes, and Dwayne and I, we got a history back a ways, and we'll get into that here in just a little bit, but we were talking about Farmers Mutual Insurance Company and then why are they partnered with other companies, and basically Farmers Mutual Insurance covers the fire, Dwayne is telling me, and North Star Mutual Insurance and RAM Mutual Insurance is the wind companies that they partner with, wind and liability. Okay, so that's why there's two names on the policy. Okay, or declaration page is what it should probably say. Now, let's talk about agents, because this kind of interests me. There was only one agent per township, so basically 20 agents. Right. The other day, you were telling me and talking to me about how you guys got paid. And let's just put it this way, I'm glad it's not this way anymore. Let's put it that way. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, yes, yeah. Back in those days, of course, there are a lot smaller farmers.
Right.
Most farm had 160 acres. They have dairy cows and pigs and chickens.
They were really diversified.
Yeah, and we'd write a 5-year policy. And
5 years.
every 5 years, I'd come out and meet with them. We'd generally sit around the kitchen table and have coffee and a piece of cake or something. And
Sure.
but the commission we got, we would collect $1 from the insured as a policy fee. And then at the end of the year, we got paid $3 from the company. So you got $4.
$4 a year on a policy,
And
basically.
that's a 5-year policy.
So that 5-year policy, that $3 would last for just all 5 years or per year?
No, for the 5 years.
Oh, so in other words, you kind of basically got $4 for 5 years?
Right.
Oh boy. Okay.
Would you like to go back to them good old days? Tom?
No, I think I'll stay right where I'm at with this. And so, yeah, I'm guessing my wife is glad that I didn't probably sell insurance right then either. So, yeah, that is very interesting. So, how about premiums? So, was there anything different about premiums back then and how they did it?
Yes. We used to be what you call an accessible company. I think for about the first 50 years, we really didn't have a surplus.
Okay.
We would assess everybody, or when you wrote the policy, you would charge them so much per thousand. And then when the surplus got down to $500, then they'd order the manager or secretary to issue a special assessment. And that would maybe last for 2, 3, 4 years.
Okay.
Or if there's a lot of fires, you maybe had to have 2 assessments in 1 year.
Okay.
But we really never had a surplus.
Right.
It was really truly a mutual company because it just,
So in other words, if
We
you had
run
a
on a
big
shoestring.
loss year, you could end up with a fairly sizable billing in the mail
you
or
could have a special assessment.
special assessment. Yeah, I should say assessment.
And then
Okay.
later on in the 1930s, then we joined a reinsurance association, so we would share all the different township mutuals in the state would share
Okay.
the claims.
And when you say reinsurance, so just so for our listeners so they understand that where if you reach a certain amount size of a loss, then a reinsurance company like a RAM or something
Yeah.
like that would actually come in and pay above and beyond, correct?
Yeah, RAM is our reinsurance company, and we had a couple contracts. One was when the loss got so big, they would take over.
Right.
And then we had an aggregate excess. When our total claims got so high, they would kick in.
Right. So in other words, and this is pretty common today, is insurance companies buy insurance for their insurance. Okay, and RAM Insurance is one of them that does that. Okay, and so not only are they a wind and liability partner with Farmers Mutual Insurance Company out of Manchester, but they're also their reinsurance carrier. So actually, Farmers Mutual Insurance pays a premium to RAM to have that coverage for those sizable losses or sizable events. Correct, Dwayne?
Right, that's right.
Okay. Quickly, because we don't have too much time, but let's talk about Tro Agency. You actually owned Tro Agency in Manchester at one time. Americana Insurance bought the Tro Agency in 1999 from your son, Jim.
Right.
Take me back a little ways, like over 100 years, and tell me who was it that you got basically the Tro Agency from?
Well, it was through Richard Myron. He had the agency, well, it goes way back to Gunder Myron. He started in, I think it's 1899, up to about 1935. And then his son Richard took over in 1935 until 1962. And I took over from Richard.
Now, can you tell me who Richard is?
Okay, Richard's actually my father-in-law.
Yeah, your wife Sonia's dad, and
Right.
so then Gunder would have been her grandpa.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it goes way back.
Yeah, and then in 1990, your son Jim became a partner in the Tro Agency. In 1995, he completely bought you out,
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah. We were quite busy in the agency there. Doug Iverson worked with me.
Doug Iverson, yep, who used to be a manager of Farmers Mutual
Yeah.
Insurance.
Mhm. Jim worked for Paul Overgaard before going into agency
Oh, okay.
in
That's
investments.
where, okay.
And when he joined the agency, of course, he kept his investment business. And
Oh, so that was a good line there.
it's a good mix. And then
Yeah.
he at that time, it's when the agency really expanded. They went into pretty much all lines of insurance.
Sure.
And they really grew a lot.
Yeah,
during that time.
right. And that's when we came in 1999 and bought the Troy agency from Jim. And all I can tell you is I thought our agency had what I want to say, history back to like the 1950s. After talking to Dwayne and talking to him, I found out that goes back to 1899 for sure. So back to his father-in-law's dad. So anyway, but in closing here, Paul and Dwayne, I want to thank Dwayne so much for coming in and doing this show with me. I think this is going to be a very interesting show for a lot of your Kate Radio listeners because first of all, there are a lot of our clients of Farmers Mutual and a lot of history. So if anybody wants to call us about Farmers Mutual Insurance and is interested in insurance, they can call me at 507-377-2000 or email me about the show or any questions at insights@americanainsurance.com. And lastly, our website is www.americanainsurance.com. Thanks, Dwayne.
You've been listening to Insights into Insurance from Americana Insurance Group. All information provided is intended to be educational in nature. Before acting upon any information obtained during the Insights into Insurance radio show broadcast, consult an appropriately licensed professional.